Hey darling, I'm Danetha, the creator of Money Mimosas, and in this weekly Money Date video, I'll be talking about Michelle Williams, her new book, Checking In, and the business lessons we can all learn from her. Before I dive into the business lessons we can all learn from Tanitra Michelle Williams, I first want to say hi and welcome to all of you who are new to my channel, new to Money and Mimosas, and new possibly to the concept of weekly money dates. Weekly money dates is a financial spiritual practice that I've been doing for many years now to heal my relationship with money and to attract abundance, joy, peace, prosperity, beauty into my life. I do my weekly money dates on Friday, and I do it on Friday because I'm into astrology, and Friday is ruled by the planet Venus, which governs both beauty and abundance. So if you are someone that's open to incorporating a financial spiritual practice into your life, I invite you to check out this video where I walk through all the steps of a weekly money date. And if you head on over to moneyandmimosas.com, you can download a free checklist to walk yourself through a weekly money date. That link is also down below in the description box of this video. And as I mentioned, my weekly money dates are on Fridays, and Friday is ruled by Venus, which governs both beauty and abundance, which are two things I love. I love money and I love beauty. And in these weekly money date videos, I start by sharing a beauty tip that has worked for me and may work for you as well. This week's beauty tip is actually a tool that I've been using. Usually I share products, but this is a tool that I've been using, and it's called a micro dermaroller. See if you can see that. And this particular brand is Sdarra. And I started using this micro dermaroller because I was getting hyperpigmentation and just little bumps on the sides right here on my face. And I did some research, and a couple of beauty bloggers had said that they had started using these microderma rollers. And so I thought I'd check it out. And this is what it looks like. It comes in this cute little case, and you keep it in the case because you want to keep it clean. So what this derma roller does, I don't know if you can see that, it's got little tiny needles that puncture the skin. Don't be nervous. It punctures the skin, but it doesn't, this one doesn't really hurt. It's got short needles, and it punctures the skin so that your serum can seep deeper into the skin. And I started using it and I immediately saw a difference. It immediately allowed my skin to turn over quickly so that the hyperpigmentation disappeared and I no longer get those little bumps on the side of my face. So check it out if you're interested. Definitely do your research in terms of watching beauty bloggers go through the exact steps you need to take in order to use it. For instance, you have to soak it in rubbing alcohol before using it. And the reason for that is because it's puncturing your skin. So you want it to be very clean. You don't want any dirt or residue or anything that can irritate your skin to get in there. So you want to soak it in alcohol solution, rubbing alcohol before you use it, and then after you use it in order to clean it. So let me know if you check that out. I've been loving it. I'll include a link down below that you can, that links to this exact product that I use. I have no affiliation with the company. It's just something that I've enjoyed using. I've been using it for 2 months now, and I do it once a week. I derma roll my skin once a week, and then use one of my favorite serums after that. It's a vitamin C serum that I use after, and that has done wonders for my skin. So let me know if you use derma rollers or if you decide to use it after this. I'd love to hear about your experience. And now let's chat about Michelle Williams. Her first name is Tanitra Michelle Williams. And we all know of Michelle. She was part of the iconic group Destiny's Child, and she has gone on to have a fabulous solo career as a singer and as a Broadway actress. And now she is an author. She released her book Checking In: How Getting Real About Depression Saved My Life and Can Save Yours. She is now a mental health advocate and is on a mission to share information and resources to folks on how to best manage and heal any trauma that they've gone through that may be impacting their mental health, and how to get to a place where they feel whole and healed and re-energized about life. Michelle has been talking about mental health for about 8 years now. She, in some interviews, shared that she had first started talking about it in 2013, publicly speaking about it. And then in 2018, she checked in, hence the name of her book. In part, the reason she entitled it Checking In was because she checked in to a facility to get help. And that was in 2018. She checked in under the name Tanitra Williams, which is her first name. And it still got out though that this was Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, and unfortunately, her privacy was breached, and in order to ensure that she owned the narrative of why she was in the mental health facility, she had to write a statement while seeking treatment to tell the public why she was in fact checking in for help. And now 3 years later, she is sharing her story in a very intimate way through her book and doing a ton of interviews around her mission to as of being a mental health advocate. And I had the opportunity to listen to her speak virtually during a town hall about mental health that was hosted by Healthline. Taraji P. Henson was also a speaker there. Jewel was a speaker there. And hearing all of them, particularly Michelle Williams, since I'm talking about her in this video, was so uplifting, encouraging, and it's such a beautiful moment that we're all in, that mental health is now being taken seriously and folks are honoring each other's space and honoring the fact that all of us are on that spectrum of mental health, and we all need support in some way, shape, or form in order to heal past trauma and to become whole. Michelle released her book Checking In during the month of May, just a couple of weeks ago. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so it was great timing. And I should say, I appreciate her willingness to share her dark night of the soul and to share with all of us her journey. She said that this journey with depression began in seventh grade and continued during the heights of her career with Destiny's Child. And I appreciate her willingness to share that journey with us, because she doesn't owe any of us that the information that she has learned on her path and the lessons that she's been able to glean from her experience. And it's beautiful that she's using her platform to give voice to issues that many of us face and deal with, and to help folks that are earlier on their journey of their mental health journey and understanding all the roots that are associated with it. It's beautiful that she's giving voice to it so that other folks can now have language to be able to speak to some of the challenges that they're going through, and how they may be able to confront them, deal with them, and heal them. And mental health is something that I've been talking more and more about in the financial space. Sadly, it's still not a topic of conversation within financial education, how mental health can impact your financial decisions, but also how your financial health can impact your mental health. There's a study out of Yale University by Dr. Annie Harper, who's a cultural anthropologist, and her research looks into how some mental health problems are actually money problems. And if we healed the money challenges that folks face, the mental health problems that are manifesting from it may actually dissipate. And so there's conversations that need to be had both ways in the financial world in terms of how one's mental health state can impact financial decisions in terms of being hyper vigilant, being overly anxious, mindlessly spending, but also the reverse too, how one's financial state can lead to mental health challenges. And so I'm happy from a lot of perspectives that Michelle Williams is giving voice to this. My hope is that it continues to be a conversation that folks have collectively with themselves. And then in the financial space, my hope is that as more and more celebrities and public figures talk about mental health, that we in the financial space start to provide you all with information around how to navigate the intersection of mental health and financial health. I wrote a book, Financial Wellness in the Workplace, that dives into that intersection and really articulates and illuminates the link between the two, how financial stress has a very real impact on the brain. It creates inflammation that inhibits decision making and cognitive abilities. And that book is geared towards human resource professionals and people and cultural professionals, DEI professionals who are in the workplace trying to create a healthy work environment for folks. And all of that said, this is something that I'm very passionate about, and hence why we're talking about Michelle Williams this week on the Weekly Money Dates. Let me grab my notes and talk a little bit, though, about the business lessons that we can learn from Michelle Williams. I have not read her book. I do plan on reading it. It's in my Kindle. But I don't want to go through the book details. I encourage everyone to read it. I hear great things about it. I'm excited to dive into it myself. But since this is a channel about money and financial wellness and financial health, I wanted to instead of focusing on her story, instead focus on the approach she and her team has taken to create a business, a platform for her as an author. And the biggest theme that has stood out to me from observing Michelle Williams navigate this new identity as an author is transition, career transitions. What can we learn from Michelle Williams when it comes to transitioning careers, whether you are starting a new business or embarking on a new career within the traditional corporate space, or perhaps you've been in business for a while and you're pivoting. A lot of us had to do that during the pandemic. So, what can we learn from Michelle Williams in terms of transitioning within your career? And I've got 3 lessons that I learned from her, and I'll share them with you all. And I'd love to hear your feedback if it resonates with you, if there's anything else that you've noticed, and what takeaways are most helpful to you. So, the first takeaway that I gleaned from Michelle Williams as she transitions from being a Grammy Award winning singer to an author. I want to give kudos to Michelle and any celebrity that does this transition, because as a non-celebrity, those of us that are not celebrities, it may seem like it's really easy to do this transition because they're famous, they know all these people, they've got a ton of money, but it's challenging. It's the bigger the larger the platform you have, the more of an association people have of you as one identity, the more challenging it actually is to transition into another one. So I give her a lot of kudos for being courageous in that regard, and listening to her heart. And it's from her interviews, it sounds like she has found her purpose. That's what she has said in a number of interviews. And it takes courage for any of us to commit to our purpose and unapologetically stand in it. So kudos to Michelle. The first lesson that I think we can all learn from her is to ask folks to address you by your new identity. So in Michelle Williams' case, she's a Grammy Award winning singer, she's an actress, she's an entertainer, and now she's an author, which is a very different space. And she's also a speaker now. And the first thing that you'll notice when listening to her in interviews is that she is being introduced as an author. And I imagine in her inner circles, behind, off camera, she's being introduced and looked upon as an author. So for each of us, that is a lesson that we can adopt as we transition, regardless of what the transition may be, whether, like I said, it's starting a new business or pivoting in your business or going for another career path that may be different from what you started off doing. Wearing that identity, that new identity, is the first step in truly owning that presence. And one of the best ways to start getting comfortable wearing that hat is to ask other folks around you to start addressing you with that new hat that you're wearing. I remember for me that I've been through a lot of transitions in my career as an entrepreneur, and one of the more recent ones was going from being an accountant to a writer. And folks put you in a box. I'm sure you know this all too well as well. As an accountant, folks had put me in this number crunching, non-creative box, even though I had built a business in a very creative way and was also a dancer. Even still, folks saw me as this button up accountant. And when I decided to transition into being a full time writer, that the first step for me was to say to myself that I'm a writer. So looking into the mirror, calling myself a writer, and then also asking other folks to address me as a writer. And that's something that really helped me become comfortable with introducing myself to potential opportunities as a writer because I had already adopted that new identity. And Michelle, in one of her interviews, thanks the interviewer after she introduces Michelle as a Grammy Award winning singer and then author. She says, Michelle Williams, Grammy Award winning singer and author. And Michelle took a moment to thank the interviewer for addressing her as an author. And that crystallized for me the necessity of asking others to identify you by your new identity. It's a big step when you're going through a transition. The second lesson that we can learn from Michelle Williams is to focus on PR, public relations, getting others to sing your praises. Now, Michelle has a different budget than some of us do in order to get the word out there. But what I notice, and if you look through the promotion that they're doing around this book, it is stellar. It is top notch. She is on every media channel. She is talking to YouTubers that don't necessarily have a huge following, but she's still doing interviews with them. She has folks sending her Instagram stories and tagging her about receiving her book and the lessons they've learned from her. She's signing books and sending fans personalized videos once they purchase a book. And it's a beautiful testament to the importance of having other folks sing your praises. Instead of her simply promoting her book on social media and using her own social media platforms to get the word out there, instead of solely focusing on her own platform, she is utilizing other platforms to get the word out about her. Now, she certainly has a PR budget and has connections, but that's still something that we can all apply to our own business. How can I get create alliances and allies within our space? And especially in a transition, you want other folks to vouch for you because there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be doubters. There's always going to be folks that think, well, you've been doing this for X number of years. Why do you think you're qualified to now talk about this? Even someone as famous as Michelle, people I'm sure are saying, oh, she's a celebrity, go sing, go act. Who are you to start talking about mental health? You're not a psychologist, you're not a doctor. And having other folks in her corner talk about how the book has impacted them, how her lived experience is just as valid as a psychologist who spent time researching this information. And that is a lesson that all of us can apply to our business in terms of getting other folks to vouch for us. It helps boost our own confidence. It helps spread the message further than we could have done on our own. And it's a great strategy because it's a great strategy in terms of other folks tend to believe that your work is great if other people are telling them that instead of you telling them how great your work is. If they hear it from a friend or from a third party that they trust, they're more likely to buy the book, to buy the service, buy the product. And the third and final lesson may not be so obvious, and however, it is possibly the most important of all the lessons that I've gleaned from Michelle is the necessity to do the inner work. The inner work of connecting with a higher power or spirit, consciousness, whatever word you want to call it. Michelle identifies as a Christian and she uses the term God. So I'll use God because I'm talking about Michelle. So she has deepened her relationship with God, deepened her understanding of her purpose, has done, it's so clear that she is standing on two solid feet. As weird as that may sound, I don't know. It's for any of you that have gone through that journey, I certainly have, where I've been through a dark night of the soul and I've done an incredible amount of introspection and healing and working with energy healers, working with energy healers, shamans, all the things. And it's evident that that is also what Michelle has done. Not the same path as mine. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that she's done her own path of doing that inner work. And what that inner work does, one of the messages, one of the main missions of Money Mimosas is to elevate your self-worth and net worth. That is our focus for all of our readers, listeners, is to give them the tools they need to elevate their self-worth and net worth. Self-worth is defined as self-esteem, which is your confidence in your own abilities and skills and how you see yourself. And that goes hand in hand with your net worth. Your self-worth directly impacts your net worth. I've done a video about that, which I'll link down below. And until you do the work around your self-worth, it will be very challenging to attract the abundance that you seek, that you're wishing for. And if you do actually attract it, it's very likely that you will sabotage it because your inner net worth hasn't matched the outer net worth that you are experiencing. And when you do that inner work around truly believing in yourself, truly believing that you're worthy, you'll start to easily attract abundance. You'll be a money magnet. You'll have a magnetism that folks want to be around. And you'll reduce the self-sabotage that you may have done in the past once you do attract those riches and that abundance. And it's so evident that Michelle has done that in her inner work. She talks about it in some of her interviews, in short, because it's a long journey, but she shares pieces of it, and I imagine her book does as well. Highlights some of the inner journey that she's gone through, and that's a lesson for all of us, regardless of if you're an entrepreneur, a career woman, um, whatever your life's journey, your life path is, really getting to know yourself and being convicted in your truth. No one else can tell you your truth. That is part of the human journey, I believe, is to come to an awareness of our own individual truth. It's in psychology, it's known as individuation, which is from Carl Jung, the idea that in order to become an individual, you have to figure out who you are. And Michelle is such a great example of that. And her uh, and that's by far one of the biggest lessons that we can take from her transition from being a Grammy Award winning singer. Everyone loves her from Destiny's Child, a fabulous Broadway actress, to now being an author and a motivational speaker, and being a mental health advocate in a time when we desperately need to start talking about mental health in a real way and giving people real solutions and resources to cope with the mental health challenges that they may be facing. And that is it for this week's Money Date video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what resonated with you. If you want more money tips around how to shift your money mindset, truly be a magnet for money and abundance, and also how to build generational wealth, be sure to head on over to moneymimosas.com. And while you're there, you can check out the paid membership program Money Makers, where you can dive even deeper into the material. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.